everybody, welcome back to my channel, The Vibes Inside. I am Mariana and I'm here to do a new moon reading in the sign of Scorpio, happening on the 1st of November 2024. So, well, I feel like I have a pretty clear message for this one. I sat with the energy for a while, but now it's pretty clear, right? That so this can maybe be the shortest reading I've ever done, but the message is something like this. To have a new beginning or to change certain circumstances, you have to rebirth yourself. So that's it. Done for today, guys. No. Well, that is pretty much what it's about. This is a flyer. While I was shuffling, 9 of Michael, 9 of Air. It means that, well, 9 of Air, 9 of it's usually a card. It could be a card of depression, right? Stress, spinning thoughts. It's an air element card. And what it says here is that you can breach the realm and get a new one, like a different experience. That this experience you sit in here is only yours as long as you stay there. As long as you are not able to move or to leave something behind, something new cannot happen. There is an offer here, right? That's what I feel like with this new moon. Take the offer. But you see what it's doing. It's like it breaches, right? That something breaches here through a sense of a realm or something. Like it's offering you something here. If you feel like you sit in distress, overwhelmed, fatigued, depressed, sad, maybe you're grieving, take the offer. Yeah, you need to breach the realm. You need to go along with it. You go through the same breach here. And you see what's on the other side. And maybe that's the problem, right? That we are not quite sure what's on the other side. Or what's in this other realm or this vibration. Something is offering you something here. There's an offer. Will you take it or will you not take it? Where will it take me? Will it lure me into something I will regret? Or will it give me abundance? Either way, like the decision has to do with where you sit now. If where you sit now is not satisfying, well, you can just ignore this one and sit here if you want to stay, right? Or you can take this. You can go along with the offer, but then you probably need to, or this idea you may have, or this circumstance that presents itself, a reality or an epiphany you have you can go along with it, right? Or you can choose not to. Is there a guarantee for abundance? Well, I don't know. Scorpio season, right? New moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is pretty much everything. It can be everything. Like, I can't tell you. But I would tell you that Scorpio is known for well, it's the sign of sex, right? It's the sign of poison. It's a sign of deep, deep love. It's a sign of addiction. It's a sign of being, like feeling you would say temptation. It's a sign of temptation. The lure of something, right? And there's this potential that if I go along with it, there is perhaps an extreme amount of ecstasis, but there's also perhaps losing myself. Scorpio can be a sign of like deep and like deeper than most people realize, but and even think that someone could go, but deep devotion. But also a sign of, on the other scale, a sign of power addiction. So what is this offer, or what is this that potentially could be showing itself to you? Maybe you realize what your deepest addiction is. Maybe you realize and addictions are interesting because they feature like the most exciting and fulfilling out of body experience, and at the same time it usually affects our mortal body a lot, right? That it sits in the body. So it can act as an escape out of reality, right? It can act as a bridge to another realm where we are free somehow, right? That is. So when we go along with this offer, there can be two things, right? That our mind wants to go along with it because it can give us this feeling. On the other hand, it threatens mortality, or it threatens our control in life. We know with addictions that when we are very much in the addiction, it governs the life. Like we don't really have control. The balancing is this, that you have one foot in reality and have a somewhat control in your life, and you still have a taste of the ecstasis, right? That is like this is where we feel that we have probably the best of both, right? But the point is that what if I have found this person and I love them, like I love them dearly. I want to, in a scorpionic way, I want to devote myself to them. Like they are the love of my life. I want to give my heart to this person, right? Then there is this, because being with them is like the ultimate union, right? But on the other hand, there is this possible scenario of them not loving me the same way, or that I am more into this than them, and what if they leave me, right? So there's this double-edged thing going on. If you are a gambler, you know that the gambling is your freedom. This is the space where you flow, right? This is where all the worries of life disappear. You are in this magical realm where possibilities are endless and everything. And there's this, it's intermittent reinforcement, right? That when potentially I make this bet, potentially I have a chance to get something, but I also have a chance not to, right? So like the intermittent reinforcement thing is one of the most addictive things that a human mind can experience. So if you have experienced this from a very young age, you are prone to it. Like it will call on you. Like every time you can, it's in reach somehow. You can sniff, like you can smell it. It's in the air. And you will go towards it. Like it demands a discipline in you not to, right? Like an alcoholic not taking that drink, even though you pass by the bar, right? That you don't go in there, even though you know that when I drink, this is my out of body, then I'm free, right? I'm free of all this other that influences on us on a daily basis, and can stress us out. In this experience, I am free and I am me, right? The world is me somehow. So I'm free of all this other stuff around me. I believe that is the ultimate thing about addictions, is to have a break, like to have a little experience where you are not in like reality, with a lot of other people and demands and duties and obligations and whatever. And we also don't have to deal with our body that much, and what the body calls for, the constant maintenance and worst case scenario mortality, right? We can have a break from that, and then we can go into this space where we flow. It's fun there. We are free there somehow. Maybe you feel like during this new moon that something calls you. The new moon is usually about new. You could start manifesting new. You can start manifesting yourself as a new version. I'm just saying that if you, as I said in the beginning, if you want a new life where you don't feel like this, you need a rebirth. You need to let something die. You need to let the one that needs the break die. the one that is looking for an out, you have to let that one go through a process, a change, where it doesn't need the pacifier, it doesn't need the drug or the gambling, it doesn't need that. It needs what it doesn't feel it has. Like, why is it that you want the escape? What is it you feel like you're missing? If you feel like, yeah, but that's easier said than done, because if I should not want this, I probably need to be a millionaire and I want ultimate freedom in that way. Okay, then I would say you should change your life towards becoming a millionaire. And people would say, yeah, but that's not just something you do. No, it's not just something necessarily you do, but you have to start. Like, that is the whole point. And the point of the 9 of Wands, the 9 of Air I showed you in the beginning, there is an offer, right? It's like there is an offer. Do you want to take the first step? Do you wanna take the first step, right? Or do you not dare to? Because if you don't dare to, you will just stay where you are. No, it's familiar, but maybe not. It will still ask of you to look for the escape. There's a voice in you that tells you that you can succeed or you can get to where you want to be or something like that. Something is hindering you in, or is creating a story where you from time to time need to go for an escape. Whatever it is. Smoking, drinking, gambling, I don't know. Risk-taking, adrenaline, I don't know. Most people have something, they are on something. Maybe to a little degree, maybe it's just sugar, right? But sugar is as addictive as heroin, it's said. Maybe it's coffee, maybe it's other kinds of, maybe it's an eating disorder, right? Maybe it's comforting yourself in some way. And going into that room feels nice, right? Because I can just vanish for a bit. But eventually you come out again and everything is still the same. I'm not saying that this is going to be a quick fix and it's just going to, but there should be some kind of progress seen every half year. The reason why this comes up very strongly now is because this is a new moon in Scorpio. And Scorpio is the 8th house. It's known for occultism. It's known for death, transformation, rebirth. It is a transformational sign. It's not afraid of changing itself. It's not afraid of daring something, even though potentially it looks a bit strange maybe. It's not afraid of going there. It's not afraid of looking at things in a different way or daring something, or as the cards showed in the beginning, will you take the offer? Will you go there? I believe an addiction can tell us something about a deep trauma. I'm not saying like taking that one fully, like diving in like that is the best approach. I'm saying that you should have a look at it. You can have a look at it. The new moon is here as an offer to say there's a potential to rebirth something, to create something new, to start over, to have a new beginning. And if you are willing to have a look at this, this is very potent for the next 3 days, even up to a fortnight. Then the moon shifts. But it is an active energy for the next 6 months, where we will have a full moon in Scorpio. And full moons are usually about wrapping up something that has been working through the last half year, to see if you are maybe, I don't know, maybe you haven't made big jumps yet, but you're maybe braver, right? And maybe you have realized what has been stopping you, or you have, because Scorpio calls for sometimes a deeper dive. There could be a feeling that you are called into some deep emotions at this time, to have a look at something. And sometimes these emotions can feel scary, like Scorpio is known to be this, like the black raven's ghost, like it has this mystic feeling to it, and a bit like, is this good or bad, right? Is this is this a good thing for me to do, right? But if you trust in if you trust in the feeling that you have, that something, that maybe you should do something about your life, that something needs to change. If you want other people to come into your life, you feel like you have the same people showing up. It's always the same kind of people you end up dating. If you want this to change, you become a different magnet. Like, you change your vibe. You will have the ability to attract other people into your life, or different circumstances, or something like that, if that's what you want. But staying the same will not necessarily change the outer world around you. This is, I just feel transformation. Like, that is what this is. There is an offering, right? Will you take it? It could be like a piece of advice. Have a look at this, right? Or take my hand, I will show you something, right? That feeling that there's something that calls for you to look at it. Or it wants your attention. Or let's say it's right there in front of you. The drink is on the table, right? Will you take it? But maybe you know that if I just take this first drink, I could end up losing myself here. I could end up in the gutter. And I don't want to get there. I don't want to end there. Well, what is it then you want? Right? It's why is this drink so alluring? What does it represent? The freedom. Okay, you may want freedom in your life. I don't want all this like responsibilities. Okay, then get rid of responsibilities. Those you can. Those you are willing to give up for your freedom. Like, what are you willing to give up for this dream or this free feeling? And it will ask you to go in and have a feeling about morality, tradition, religion, beliefs, belonging, like family belonging, family style, behaviors, everything that you know in your life. That is a journey that if you take this one, right, you will need to get to a point that are you willing to actually do what it is that you crave, like to go and get it, not necessarily in the drink, but in another version. Can you be someone who creates freedom in your life? Are you willing to do what it takes to have that freedom? Then you just go and get it. And this is where most people stop, right? Because there is this, yeah, but what about my kids? And I can't just leave my wife, right? And I need to work to pay the bills and so on. Yeah, you have a look at all that. Because some of this is the stopper for your freedom. Is my guess. So when you take this one, right, you will, like, it will show you and ask you. You are asking to be freed. Okay, I tell you how to. Will you do it now? Then. And if you don't want to do it, why? Why do you not want to do it? Okay. Let's have a look at the center here. So I get 2 of Michael. So we had, this is a Michael card, again an air card here. The first card we saw as a flyer was this 9 of air, 9 of swords card, which usually, as I said, it tells us something about ruminating, depression, too many thoughts, maybe too many obligations, maybe too many identities, like swords can be what you think, what you believe in, what you're supposed to, what kind of rules you're supposed to follow, what truth you have, social construct of the world, religion, moral tradition, all these kinds, all thoughts that govern your behavior. And when we have many, like the 9, life becomes more difficult, right? It would be the feeling that you have, it's like you have 9 bosses around you that all speak about different things, and you are supposed to, please all of them, or follow the rules of all of them, which makes you eventually sit still because they all talk about different things. So you can end up being almost passive, right? Here we have 2 of Michael, which are less. There's only 2 here. There's yours and then maybe some other. But these are both unicorns, so they seem like they are of the same breed, right? That they or race. So they may have similar interests. So we could talk about like wanting to be just in a place with a nice sundown or sun up, with someone who is maybe more like you. And there's not much else around you here, so maybe you are outside. You're not locked in a room, And you could go where you want to go. That would be a kind of freedom, right? With a friend, perhaps. Two of air can sometimes talk about being conflicted in your, what way to go. Like, which of these unicorns do you want to ride on, right? This one seems like it would maybe go this way, and this one seems like it wants to go this way. And that's also what the Two of Michael can talk about, this conflicted, that you feel like you have thoughts that go in different directions, that you become more aware of where you feel this. When do you feel that? But today somehow it came across more like a friend, right? That a friend like you, in a way that you could ride towards the sunrise or sunset with, that you are outside, you are free, you could go wherever you want. This could, now I get holiday, like I wanna be free, right? I wanna be somewhere where I can be free. I'm drawn back to this idea of breaching a realm. It's almost like entering into like a fantasy realm. As I said, that's what addiction can do. Drinking, drugging, and so it can take us into a realm that is a bit of it's unlimited in some way, right? There are not all these limitations and demands, and it's like we are free of that for a moment, right? But the point is that when we go here, if we stay here, we forget about the other world, right? Where we may have responsibilities. And there is this, like, what do you want? Like if you can't be in a fantasy or in an ecstasy all the time. Or if you choose to, you cannot at the same time be present in what we call reality and partake in family life and duties and work and everything. It's like you need to choose then. And you have to live with the consequence of what you leave behind then. What's over here. And they may not they may not understand your disappearance, right? Or your changing act, the transformation act. They may not get it, right? They may not understand what it is that you're doing and why you may be choosing what you're doing. And that's why I say that whatever this is, it has to be big enough. It has to overshine everything else, all that you have here. Otherwise, you wouldn't choose it. So, and this is what an addiction can do, right? It can become so seductive to our minds, to our bodies, that we can't, not choose it. But by choosing it, you can also lose a sense of reality. And that could be a scorpionic realm, definitely. And I feel like there is a potential for transformation here, especially if you sit put and you don't know what to do. It's like there are too many bosses to please, or too many demands, or too many responsibilities. You just can't do it all. You have to get fewer, right? You need to have less. So in the root position here, I get the 9 of Cups here. 9 of Cups is usually a self-love card. It's a card of, and when I say self-love, to me, it also talks about a sense of like loving yourself more than something else. And that may sound arrogant, but what it is actually, especially if you are someone who has lost this feeling, it's also, to me, a sense of sovereignty. Like if you cannot love yourself most, you have no sovereignty. There is no sovereignty. There is no like the boundaries can be breached easily if you don't love yourself most and are loyal to yourself most and care for yourself most. Sometimes this could look like arrogance. It could look like, but to me it's a healing card, right? It has to do with your, if for some reason, like, which I feel like addictions are all about, it's the loss of sovereignty. It's where you have somehow laid your weapons down and allowed something in. And yeah, it could give a sense of ecstasy, but in the moment you lay the weapons down, you also become perhaps a slave to it. It's difficult to regain sovereignty. It's difficult to become the war hero again. Like when you have laid the weapons down. That is what this talks about. It's about loving yourself most. And for some people this looks like this no card, or a no message. Like, yeah, but that is too arrogant and that's too selfish, and it's not about that. It's about your integrity. It's about boundaries. It's about filling your own cups up first here, before you start giving it to someone, right? Make sure that your cups are filled. And you know where your boundaries are. You know where your limit is. So again, it's the center card. So I feel with this is like the feeling of ecstasy and the potential danger of it. Like the potential, I'm not sure I want to do this. I'm not sure I want to, if this is thoughts about some kind of relationship or commitment or contract, I want to say you never lose yourself, right? Don't lose what is you. And if you have lost yourself once, which I have done, it takes quite a lot of work to get this back. It takes a lot before you actually recognize what it is. Like sovereignty, like this self-care card, it has to do with who you are, what you, like, and I know for the people who are lovers out there, there could be this feeling, yeah, but if I have sovereignty, how can I love someone? How can I let someone in? That's it. That's the exact point, and this is one of the big worries of Scorpio, because Scorpio has the potential of actually laying the weapons down to melt with someone else in unconditional love, which this card also could signify, right? This potential partner that just can melt with me. But in the melting, you are not the same. Like, how do you stay sovereign and melt with someone? And are you supposed to in a world like ours? Is that safe? Maybe you have an addictive tendency towards wanting the unconditional love, the melting, But is it healthy for you? Like, is it good for you to do that? Because melting means that this other person has access to your heart, your deepest, the deepest point in you, the most vulnerable soft spot, right, in you. So if we let something like that in, it can mess with something, right? It can change. It can. And some people don't mind this. They want this. Presuming that this other person has the exact same beautiful intentions to melt in love and devotion and trust and for mutual benefit, right? But what if this other person doesn't want this? What if this other person pretends, right? Then we are in trouble. This is where we have a heartbreak. When they leave. And it takes a lot to get up again because the sovereignty has been influenced. And influenced sovereignty is not really sovereignty anymore. It is something else, which is not quite sovereign. So how do you protect your heart, right? This, what I'm telling you here, is something you could become aware of, right? You could become aware of the potential dangers of something. There is so much to gain and something to lose. There's so much ecstasy, but I could lose myself, right? There's this back and forth, or light and shadow, or good or bad, or whatever you want to call it. There's something going on like this. And Scorpio is this dark, hidden, it can be a feeling of a maze, right? That you are in this misty maze. And you're not quite sure where to go, right? Scorpio is always mysterious. That it's something you will not get the answer up front. When you work with scorpionic energy, you never get the answer up front. You have to participate to figure out the next step, right? That's how it works, and you have to dive into it, and you can do it or you can not do it. Like, that's your choice. But if you want change in your life, it won't come by you staying in the same position, just wanting something else. If you want something else, you take charge of that. You take charge of the change. Showing leadership, right? Instead of just feeling overwhelmed, you show that you want to change something. And you take maybe the first step, just one step. So I get new blueprint here in the crown position. And new blueprint tells me something about, and maybe that's why we have an air sign also here, that something that could be here takes new ways of looking at something. The new blueprint, as I said, new blueprint can also talk about like a new identity, right? The crown is like the control center. This is the one that makes the decisions. The crown center is our brain. It's how we think. It's the decisions we make. It's the choices we make. It's the actions we take. It's the control center. It's the leader. As I said, if you want change, you become the leader. You choose to take charge. That's one big step, choosing to take charge of something. Choosing to take charge of your future instead of that something else has charge over you, right? That if you want a different future, maybe with someone or something where you are this wavelength, like your brain vibration is the same, you have the same orientation, it's less problematic, right? It's, or at least if even if this person or this thing here is different than you are aware of it, right? You know that it's different and still choosing it. Like, it's like, I want to go or be with something where I know what I'm dealing with, right? I know that it's oppositional, or I know it's the same kind of, it's like me, or it thinks or operates like me, it has the same values and so on. Or if it's oppositional, okay, I know it then. I see it for what it is. I'm not dreaming and hoping for change. I'm not lost in some kind of fantasy, dreaming, limerence thing, right? I take charge. And one of the things that I can do is working on my sovereignty, right? That fill your cups up. Fill your cups up with something other than booze, perhaps, right? If you choose to drink, if that's what you choose, it is in the root position. Root can talk about, I want to say past, because, and maybe that's why I have this stone here on the table, and it is, I wanted to find something purple. I didn't quite find it, but actually these go quite well together. It's a mix of purple and root, like crown and root, right? That if you can become if you can become conscious about your deepest roots, and I want to say scorpionic energy can be known to, with broken hearts, to become alcoholics. So and of course this is not for, it's not all, right? It's a general term, it's a general thing. If you have a tendency to drinking and partying here, having a good time in that way, that could be your way out, right? That could be the feeling you are, that's your way out. It gives you a feeling of being in a different realm, a different blueprint. As I said, when we drink or when we drug, it's like a fantasy world can open up to us. We now, suddenly we are this unbeatable hero or something, right? So this could talk simply about like, I want to say an ecstasy trip, right? This one, all of it. But what is leading to it, or what is your the cause, or one of the portal ways is this one. Drinking, perhaps. And the portal way is also how you control it. Like, you can control whether this door opens or not, but it means you need to control the drinking. And to control the drinking, you need to find out why you drink in the first place. What is it that drinking allows you to feel? So in order, you could say, what you feel like when you are somewhat connected with whatever this is your fantasy. This is what you want. What you long for. Okay, So now you just go and get it then. And I get it. Like, no, it's not that easy just to get that, right? I want to be where where I don't have to work. I don't want to have all this responsibility. I don't want to have all these bills coming in all the time. So basically, you want to be in another world. That is what that is. Or you need to be in a place where you do not have so many bills. Like the bills is paying for something. What are you paying for? You have a look at your expenses. What are you paying for, and do you actually want to pay for all of it? Or is there something you want to let go of? What if the house, like the mortgage, is very high? Potentially you could move somewhere else. I'm not saying it like I can't say whether it's ideal. I'm saying it's a liberation. What this is an attempt for liberation, liberating yourself from something, which Scorpio can do. Like the potential of Scorpio is enormous. The liberating potential of Scorpio is enormous. But you're leaving it all behind then, right? Sometimes people fear the death card in tarot, and the death card is connected with Scorpio energy. Because death feels so final, right? It feels so dark and cold and final, and there's usually a feeling of like grieving and loss and darkness and some very dark and tough emotions that connects with death. And this is what people feel, those who are left behind. They go through that feeling. So if you decide to go towards whatever ecstasy you have here, or this freer life, a liberating life, you could leave something behind. These are the people who will feel the tougher feelings by your departure, right? That is something here may feel that something has left, that you here, you're leaving, right? You're going somewhere else, and they feel that you're not there. So when a child comes home from school and they find their parents drunk, sleeping in the living room, that is potentially actually that feeling. The parent is somewhere here, but the child feels left out, right? They cannot reach for the parent. The parent is sleeping. They cannot wake them up, right? So someone could be in this realm, and something else is existing somewhere else, right? That is like that could be the circumstance when we leave something behind because we choose for our own benefit, our own ecstasy. Potentially we can leave something behind that doesn't understand what's happening. And it wants you back in the version you were before, right? They want you back in the version you were. Not in this version, right? They want you in the version they are familiar with and trust and are normally like close with. So they will feel abandoned. They will feel, that happens when people die also, right? We feel abandoned. If it's a very sudden death, we feel very abandoned, like it's too fast, right? it's a too fast change. It's going too fast. We were not prepared. We couldn't prepare. And now we are left with this void. There's always someone leaving and someone who is left behind. When someone is leaving, it's because they choose something else. There's something they want more. As I said here, they want something more, right? Wanting it more, choosing it more than something else. And this is where we have the morality and this thing about like that is bad behavior, or we should feel guilty and we are obliged to, and so on. I am not here to judge whether you want to do one or the other. I'm saying that if you feel trapped, that you are in a prison here, it's probably a prison you have grown yourself. Like you have maybe followed certain ways of thinking, traditions in society, maybe family traditions, and now you've ended up here and it feels like it suffocates you. You have grown it yourself, right? And if you want to get out of it, it's like you can do that, but it potentially will hurt someone else, right? This new moon, I feel like, is a I feel like it's a call for an inner dialogue with yourself, that what is a new beginning worth for you? Is it worth the gain and worth the loss? And if it is, when and how fast and so on. If you want another door to open for you, you have to make steps towards it. But when you walk towards another door, you are also walking away from something else, perhaps. So it's your decision whether it's worth it. Is it worth the gain? When you know there is a potential loss? If we talk about an addiction here, like, is it worth to take this first this glass if you know that you are prone to alcoholism? Because taking one glass can potentially, get you here, but also lose your home, your money, your family, your children, everything else. And maybe your life, right? Because if someone ends up drinking every day on a like heavy drinking, they may, like destroy the body. They may destroy the liver. They can become very ill, die young, and so on. And they can even hurt themselves if they are very drunk, right? Fall over, and so on. I hope you get my point. Like, that's what I feel like. Well, you know me, if you follow my channel, I don't speak about easy topics. Like, this is not an easy thing. This is like a deep self-recognition about your biggest addictions, right? Like the things that can destroy you. But I get it, like I get it, like addictions, I get it. I've never had an addiction with like physical things like drugs, gambling, drinking. To me, it's people. It's an energetic imprint with certain people. And I just know that when I'm around those people, potentially it can take my power away. It can take my sovereignty away here. So I stay away from them. So you could say I'm trying to be people sober. It's a very particular energy imprint, and it's not every person who has that. But I have figured out that that's what it is, and I'm just staying away from it. But I still feel like withdrawal, you could say, like withdrawal symptoms. So I just know what it is now, right? I am very much aware what it is. And I know that if I go there, it will it can potentially overwhelm me, and I'm not supposed to go there, right? And if I go there, I'm pretty sure I could have all of this. I could have this feeling, right? So, what does it contain exactly? This freedom feeling. What does it contain? And is it possible for me to create it in this world? And if it is, I just start doing that then. I start to get away from something that is not this, that is different than this. And then I start trying to go towards something that is, right? But still something I can go, still with a sovereignty, right? Still with a feeling that I choose this. It's not that it's not someone else that is in charge of the things. I am actually choosing it myself. Do you get my point? Like, I hope you get my point of this. Can I get one more card on this Two of Michael, please? One more card, please. You see the sun. Like this is a card where the sun is like the utmost, I want to say, fun or ecstasis or enjoyment, desire, and pleasure. The sun is always considered very pleasurable, very nice, very golden, very ecstatic. And she sits in her pool here, right? She is, the sun is shining on her, right? Like she is, almost like she could be, someone famous. Like she's standing on this scene, singing like a Celine Dion, right? And the sun here is this spotlight of golden light that just shines on her. Someone famous or someone who is, it could even suggest, that someone is in this pool, like like a Zen zone or something, where they are undisturbed, like the world around them doesn't disturb them, right? They are, you would say, sovereign. They are protected from. And that's what an addiction can do, right? It's like you're in this world where it seems like you lose like that everything else is disappearing, right? That the noise in some way is disappearing. So you're just in this beautiful place where everything is peachy here, right? That's what, and I felt that with this card. It could be with someone else, or that you would say you and the sun here, right? You and the sun, you and someone or something that likes you, right? That adores you, right? It's like when the sun shines on you, it's like it's an adoration almost, right? It wants to highlight you. It wants to make you shine, right? It's could be the feeling that you want someone to just adore you, right? Adore being with you, and this beautiful mutual understanding. That's why I said it's like they are the same. They are each other's adorable person. Like both want the same. Both want the sunshine. Both want the sun here, right? Both want to be in this place together. A bit like a symbiosis or something like that. Like it's this perfect place of connection where nothing else is disturbing us. Like a love nest, right? That the two lovers meet in the love nest, and everything else about their life is kind of gone. The getaway weekend where both of you are just there in the pool together here, and nobody knows you. You can just be there with each other, enjoying the sun, drinks on the beach, things like that, where you are undisturbed by the world around you. But as I said, to have this feeling, this freedom or something like that, you need a new blueprint here. You need to think differently. Like you need to, first of all, let go of some of the sadness or something like that, the feeling of wilderness, or that there's too much around you. You get rid of some of that. You need less pressure, right? You get rid of some of the pressure. One more card on the blueprint here. Let's have a look. Okay, interesting. I get High Priestess here. And I get the 2 card here. We have 2 here. And the new blueprint. There's a bit of similarity with this. It's like this one is looking through a veil, right? As I said, I said that with Scorpio, sometimes you have to go into this misty maze where you can't quite see the next step. And suddenly she's there, right? She's saying something here in the mist. It could be you have a dream and you see a partial face in some way, right? But we have a bit of the same here. It's like there's all this thing, these trees or this organic material here around her, and then this face shows up with a light, a star here, right? The star. And that is the one. This is your person, or this is the one that is right for you, right? That there could even be this recognition of like a soulmate or something, right? That something shows itself here. That the new blueprint could even be something like you want to look for a totally different kind of partner. Somebody who starts to show themselves through the misty maze, right? That you get to understand something, that the one that you may think about here or dream about or something is potentially, well, now I get something like talking to you, like they, a bit like you could. That makes sense with the first card, the 9 of air in the beginning. Like someone is potentially, from a different realm here. It's like they are potentially looking through the mist, giving you something like an advice or something, right? And you can take it, you can listen to it, right? You can follow it. It's like someone is trying to get to you or send a message to you, or in your dreams, in telepathy, it's crown area, so it could be telepathy, dream, guidance, a cognition, something, an epiphany. Suddenly you know who they are, like something. Suddenly you know who this person is, like this one, the one like you. Suddenly you know who they are, right? You know the one that is your son, right? The one that adores you or loves you, the one that will give you everything, that will make you golden or adores you, that is your person, right? That is the one for you. High Priestess, though. You saw in the beginning the 9 of air, right? That is like there was this hand through a veil. Like a veil, I said something about breaching realms or something like that. It's like she's looking through from a different place, right? Somewhere where you are not. She's looking through here. Maybe you feel like that there is a presence or something, or there is something in your mind that suddenly you have this. You dream about someone, and there is a face that shows itself partially, or it speaks to you, right? And that's what I feel like. And Scorpio do that, like they breach realms, like it's the working with the underworld. It's the working with we could have contact with deceased loved one here. We could have a contact with a lover. I feel like lover here, even though it's not a cups card. There's something telepathic. Maybe that's why it's air. I feel that this is cups, but it comes through as air. So like telepathy or something here. Like a mind sharing. You share something on a mind level. There could be a feeling, again, she is a master of the moon here. You see the moon cycles here? Right? She's a master of the moon, and this is a new moon, right? She is telling you that there is a potential for a new beginning. She is kind of like reaching through the veil, right? She's using her channel. She's a moon channeler, this one, right? She uses that's what I feel like. She's definitely in the moon area. And the moon area is usually secretive. It could be a secret admirer here. A secret admirer. Secretive. It is hidden. It's not out in the open. It's not said out loud. It's not spoken, written, texted, or something like that. It is a bit hidden here. It's a bit hidden. And there's a message. It's like she's offering you something, right? And the offering, and this is a purple stone. There's some knowledge here. And the knowledge could be the feeling of a third eye opening. We have it here also, third eye. This is where it's clear cognition. It's like clear audience. It's clear, like telepathy, right? Everything that has to do with mind understanding, new ways of seeing things, a message, an epiphany, something like that's what this is, right? It's offering you something, potentially from someone who loves you. I feel like it's someone who you have a very strong connection with here, potentially. This is a general reading. If it doesn't feel right for you, it's not right for you, right? Don't make it fit. But if you feel like you find yourself wanting to go back, wanting to slip into a different realm where you could be with someone like this, or you have this freedom, where you feel adored and loved and attended to, it's like you are freed, maybe through drinking, because in that realm you have access to something here, right? You have access to something. This one, like I feel you have contact with something here. If this resonates with you, you have contact. You could potentially have contact right now. It's like there is someone who is from the other side saying, you sitting there, being so depressed, sad, with the 9 of air in the beginning. I should have kept the card. The 9 of air in the beginning, sitting there feeling depressed, sad, sorrow, grieving, not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go, not knowing whom to trust. It's like someone is offering you, saying, you need to start over, right? Start over, new cognition here, new blueprint, purple, right? It's new identity, build yourself up again, right? Build yourself up again, reclaim that power of yours. You are without sovereignty. Your sovereignty is gone when you sit like that. You build yourself up again. I'm right here. I'm right here. with you. It could be someone you've lost. Very, very, very scorpionic. Again, contact with deceased loved ones on the other side, or still even around you, could be definitely a thing. Someone who loves you very much. They don't want you to sit in pain like that. And not because of them, right? And that this is where we can seek them. Sometimes people find this contact through drugs or ayahuasca, or soul travels with different psychedelics, things like that. It's like, but you just know you can stay in that area so much so that you lose everything else. Like you lose your home, you can't work, and so on. Don't lose yourself in drinking, right? Or can I get one more card on the 9 of Cups here? Like I read tarot cards very differently than normal tarot readers sometimes. I read what comes in for me here. Okay, I feel like I need this one with the moon, right? So I get this one. Harvest. Gathering of blessings. And this is what I feel like. It's like gathering yourself together. Gather the things that are blessings. Remember the blessings in your life. Think about them, right? Be grateful for the little things. We have the moon here in the background lighting her up here. Helping, assisting. It's like the moon is actually assisting. It's like, look at this, like it's like the moon is currently assisting this one to know their value, right? To reclaim their beauty or their sovereignty, their power, which makes her eventually stand like this. But when she's grieving, it's like it's the moonlight that is surrounding her. And when she needs to harvest, she needs to gather, become grateful for the things that she has. I feel like building that sovereignty, though something is missing, though something feels like it's lost, never forget your own value, right? Never forget who you are, and never forget that there is a potential for joy still, right? There is a potential for happiness still, but I see harvest, and it says gathering on blessings. What I see, it's something like I see almost like it's like she's gathering some puzzle pieces, right? Like she's gather the things in your life that are blessings, right? And be grateful for them, harvest them. Because it comes across as you're split, right? That something split, that could be like a broken heart, right? Like something has split, and now she's kind of gathering the pieces back together. Now I get something like Isis and Osiris. That Isis, she did that, right? The story about Isis is that her husband Osiris, whom she loved very much, They were co-rulers of Egypt, and he was killed, and she couldn't forget him, right? So he was killed, and his body was cut in pieces and spread all over Egypt. And what she did was that she never stopped, right? She relentlessly she traveled to gather the pieces of him, to take them to potentially a magician of some kind that was supposed to revive him. But that is how much she loved him, right? That is how she could not accept the fact that he was gone. So here I get like harvest, like the feeling of harvesting, right? Like get the crop, like find the crop, the things that are blessings, that are good for you, and surround yourself with that, right? Make sure you are surrounded with something or someone who loves you here, something that feels like blessings. And at the bottom of the deck, I get friendship here, right? This is someone very dear to you, like support, fun, unity, play. Like they were very dear to you here. I feel like even on could be a child or a child friend. There's what they do, or they bring the child out in you, right? They have a way of like bring this inner child of yours out and play. Maybe they were very playful, very good at, like making fun out of things. That could be also what this is about, like gather these memories, right? The memories, pick the good memories, right? And keep them in your heart. And harvest as many of them as possible, the things that were beautiful. Remember them, and keep them close to you, right? Be grateful, because there are people who go through life without having ever had that. Like without having ever had someone who gave you so much, who gave you so much here and adored you so much, and made you feel so special and so beautiful and so unique. That is not something we should take for granted. That is not something you perhaps can just find in the next person. This is special. You should gather this and be grateful for it, that you've had that experience, even though it was maybe brief, even though it was maybe little, even though it was a long time ago. Like to have something like that it's a treasure. It's a treasure. It's special, it's unique, it's a gift. It was a gift to you. And of course we want it back, but sometimes we just can't have it, right? We can't have that back. But it should still make you, like, it should still tell you something. It should tell you how beautiful you are, right? What a beautiful soul you are. And they love you, and I feel like they are Like they are here, right? They are here. They are speaking to you here. And they are also, I feel like, when there's something like this happens, what they do is that memories can come in. Memories of someone. What you did together. How you laughed. How you played. What they want to do is like they want to remind you, right? They want to remind you of good times, of beautiful times you had together, right? Beautiful times you had together, and that you should never forget that, right? That they were in your life as a gift. They were special to you, you were special to them. They haven't forgotten you, right? They are on the other side or somewhere else. But it's like they're looking through here, right? They want to tell you, again, they're offering you something, right? Potentially, they are even telling you how to find them. Let's say that this is a person who is on the other side of the globe. But if you never dare to go traveling, if you never dare to go look for them, you will probably not find them. So what they are saying here is something like, I hear you, right? I hear you. I am right here. And you can find me. But you need to grow perhaps something. You need to evolve. You need to become aligned with me. Because someone very playful and someone very sad rarely get to, really find each other. Like to become aligned, more the same, you need to be more the same, right? You don't need to sit in sorrow. You need to become more aligned with each other. They're telling you this, change your ways, right? And I will be there. That's what I feel like. They're definitely there. They say fill up your cups. And the sovereignty that you need, right? To go out there, the bravery to go out there and look for them. Or to just go out. Maybe not even looking for them, but dare to and remember, what did you do? Like when you harvest some of this, or you remember something, when you think about them, not thinking about only the loss, but also thinking about the good times you had. What did you do together? What did they say to you? Where were you? Where did you go? Right? And maybe you remember some kind of common hobby, or you remember something that for some reason has been left behind. Maybe it was a childhood friend. Maybe it was an environment, like a city, a place. And in that place, you found this special feeling, right? You found this special connection with someone or something, maybe an animal. And it's special, right? It's special. And it's special because it makes you feel special. That's what they did. Like they made you feel special. most of us have that. Like we do want for some of us likes the idea that we are special to someone. That someone sees us as special. Someone is breaching through. It's not so much the high priestess I look at for this reading. It's more this idea that she breaches through, like something is showing itself, like a message, like there's this messenger. Maybe you receive a letter or a phone call or a message in some way. Maybe there's this epiphany. Maybe you remember someone. Maybe you remember someone you haven't talked to for a very long time. And you realize something about them, right? Something about them that actually made you feel maybe like this, right? Like the sun, the sun is like ultimate joy and abundance. It's like this overflow feeling of pampering or adoration or joy, like utmost pleasure or something like that. That is what the sun represents. It's the highest ecstasy, you could say, or the best feeling ever, right? And there's something about like a connection, I feel like, and it's they're unicorns, but now like their horn here actually comes across a feeling like an antenna, right? And like two antennas that cross paths, and you can hear each other, right? Like a connection of some kind, right? It's like your unicorn, your antenna is in the right direction for someone else to pick up on your thoughts. Like that is the feeling of that something is reached through, or you can pick up on theirs, right? That you can pick up on theirs and they can pick up on yours. A connection with something. And that sometimes happen in a, you could say, an intoxicated place, like when we are drunk or when we are high in some way. We feel better, right? It's like we feel that we are maybe connected with something, that we are connected with something that is more or special, or this person. It's like our soul connects with something else that is out of the body, out of reality, earth life experience. What I'm saying here, I get it. I understand why you may want to go there. I'm also saying that this can become an addiction, and it can lead you away from a life that is here in this reality. And I can't tell you what's the right thing to do. I can tell you to proceed with caution, perhaps. Especially if you feel there's something here that you don't want to leave behind, or you are not ready to, or you feel it's too soon. It has to be slower or something like that, right? You just be cautious about what this is. Because it can be extremely seductive and tempting, right? And it can rob your mind, right? It can take over and become your entire world. And maybe it's not bad. Like you just make an assessment about it, right? You make an assessment. You can even make an assessment that says, yes, this is truly what I want, and I will go there. I'm just not doing it right now, right? Because there's something here. Maybe you have children, right? You feel like I can't just leave that behind yet, right? They're not old enough. I have a commitment here. But it doesn't mean that you can't grow this. Like, you can still grow. What is it exactly? What was it about? Why is it so tempting? What about it do I like? What about it could swallow me? Right? What are the steps I can take towards it, and so on and so forth? You can still become aware and make very conscious choices to go towards something, and in the pace that you decide, while you're still maintaining some other life here. I'm just telling you that this can become so addictive and so seductive that it can steal you away from whatever this is. So you just have to figure out if it's worth it. Like, do you want that? Are you willing to see what happens even if you do leave? Will it be all right over here, right? If you ride to the sunset with a new lover and you leave everything behind, children, responsibilities, jobs, debt, and everything, what will happen? You know? What will happen? Will someone take over? Will someone pick up the pieces? Will someone, step up and, grow or become more, more mature perhaps? Or I can tell you what the right choice is. I can just tell you with the card from the beginning, with the 9 of air, that sitting in that bed, all crawled up and procrastinating because of whatever responsibilities or duties you feel you have, it's overwhelming. There is a way out, like the hand is there, but it's just whether you want to take it or not. And are you willing to actually go down that aisle, no matter what responsibilities it requires and whatever steps you have to make and whatever detachment you have to make? Are you willing to do that? To get to this? And is it worth it? Like, is it what you want? Like, can you live with the choices, the potential bad conscience, the rejections? Can you live with it if you choose to pursue this? On a human level, on an identity level, on a soul level? It's up to you, right? I'm just saying that that's what I feel. There's this, you could feel like, it could feel a bit like a trickster energy, right? That there's this, that's what I feel. So I would say proceed with caution, kind of, or you set the pace, right? You set the pace of this. And if you feel like you can't set the pace, that it's sucking you in, potentially you need to withdraw, right? That's what I'm saying. But I can't really guide you exactly. It depends on your situation, right? And the choice you make. So this is what I have. I hope this helped someone out there. Take care of yourself, everybody. Love and light to you. Bye-bye.